Yes. We are the seeds of the Elohims, exposing the schemes and crushing regimes of powers that be.
My name's Untitled Project. I am an MC. I'm a photographer. Um, I do all sorts of things, but I really like to focus on things that I'm good at instead of trying to focus on things that I'm just trying to work out in my life and I'm starting over new. I ain't got time for that. So I'm also I've also done a radio show called Mental Salvation Radio, and that was probably like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and that was on Blog Talk Radio. So I interviewed people, I had topics, I've lectured, I've done this and I've done that, and now it seems like things are full circle. Coming back around to doing the same thing I was doing about seven years ago.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm an artist, I'm a creative, and coming along in this whole cipher of MCs and producers and poets in the DC area, sometimes you have to stand out in a way that is not of the norm. You can't always go with the norm of
what is the norm? It is. What is that?
The norm is basically, it's like more of a cookie cutter type of thing. It's like you're going with the flow. You're not trying to stand out. You're not trying to swim upstream.
Gotcha.
You're going with the water. You're going with the current. You're going with the wave. You're going with.
You're all in the zeitgeist.
Right. You know what I mean? And I don't have time for that. So I've always been influenced, by my grandma, my mom, to think outside the box, to be your own person. Growing up in the DC area, it's kind of hard to be your own person, but
it is.
It taught me, like, be your own person. Don't follow the leader. If you make a mistake, own up to it. If you do this, make sure it's the right thing you're doing, and always listen to the person inside you, which when I got older, it was basically the God inside us. So it was like, listen to that voice and things of that nature. So, I wanted to swim upstream. I didn't want to go with the current. I didn't want to have all the latest fashion stuff that everybody else had growing up. I really wanted to be the oddball, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way for most of us. And, you know what I'm saying?
You're not an oddball.
You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, you're not an oddball. Unfortunately. But the fortunate part is that there are not others like you, but there are others who are kind of, they want to not go with the flow. They don't want to, be a follower. They want to be themselves. So that kind of gives you your village a little bit,
Yeah, it does.
Your people.
Right. And that village is so rare.
It is.
It's so rare that everyone can be a chief. You don't have to be an Indian, and if you don't want to be an Indian, you are able enough to be a chief and an Indian. Oh man, that's so cool because
right. But are we politically correct in saying that, using that analogy? The chief and are we? I mean, I'm just checking. Okay. We don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah, we don't want to offend anyone. I apologize. So I don't think. I guess the people who know me wouldn't probably take offense to who are native.
I don't. I know you. Right.
That's better than saying. I don't know if it's better than saying. I'd rather be.
Everybody's a chief. Everybody's their own. Everybody's a chief. Everybody's their own person, their own leader, their own, they're self-governing,
I mean, that's me. That's me in a whole, in a nutshell. And I guess what I want to bring to this podcast is basically me being transparent within this podcast. Because I think this podcast will allow both of us, to be transparent so that the vibe that we send out people can relate to it. Whether you're a man or
Right.
or a woman, you can relate to what we're saying. You know, no matter if you are, have a boyfriend or girlfriend, either way, or however you want to put it, it would be relatable to what is going on in today's society. You know?
Absolutely.
And I know we're going to talk about things that we probably always wanted to talk about. And I know we're going to bring up things like we've done in the past or things that happened in the past so we can focus on the future, because that's what it's about. You know, having our worst experiences or our good experiences, and people learn from that experience if they can within this podcast. So I think this podcast is going to be great. And I
believe that people will walk away from and take something away from it. I mean, you and I by no means are experts, in love, relationship, but we are here to offer us,
Right.
We're here to offer us and our experiences and our, thoughts and feelings. And like you said, we are both here to be transparent.
Mm-hmm. That's what it is. That's my intro. That's how I feel about a lot of, as we continue to talk and get people warmed up to us. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. And then my grandma decided, probably in like 76, 78, 79, maybe early 80s, not too sure, decided to say, hey, we getting the hell up out of here. Let's move like basically across the line. Like, let's move to Tacoma Park, but we're still like on the line of DC. So let's move to Tacoma Park, because it seems to me that your mom is not doing great at school, and this whole shit is getting on my nerves. So
wait, I thought you were gonna say that she packed you guys up and moved you down south or something. She just moved across the line.
That's all
across
you did.
The street.
Across the
you
street.
You set me up with that. You set us all up with that, Enoch.
It's like, that's what I thought. I was like, we moving? Like, yeah, okay. This is not far from where we were. You know what I'm saying? The only thing different is that I can walk across the street and go to school. That's the difference. Instead of walking block, I can just walk across the street
and go to school.
And go to school, so I can kind of be late on time all the time if I really want to be.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it, Grandma.
Yeah, grandma was just like, your mama out here wilding. My mom was wilding though. She was definitely wilding. My dad is 16 years older than my mother.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad old. My dad was.
Mine is 9 years older than my mother.
Really?
Yes. 9 years. My daddy was a pervert.
See, and that's what I'm saying too, because this intro of us is basically, we're spilling our beans to you guys, because it's just like we want to be transparent, so y'all can be transparent with whomever you're with. Your dad, you say your dad was a pervert, and let's look at that. You say 9 years. Like, let's look at it. Yeah. If it's 2018 and you're dating someone 9 years younger or older.
My mother was 17.
See?
You do the math.
Yeah. And my mom was 16 when she had.
Oh my God. Okay. See? Well, I've known you for a while, and I never knew this. See, this is information we're revealing. So I guess I should give my introduction. I am Anissa Yvonne. I was also born and raised in D.C. I was also conceived by a pervert, but I am a writer. I'm a painter, and I am the host of the Brunch Bitches podcast on RIP Radio Network. And I, too, have been on the art scene in D.C. for a number of years. I am fifth generation D.C. My mother was born here. My mother's mother was born here. My mother's mother's mother was born here. I mean, it goes on. Like, we are 5 generations in. That's it for me. I'm here. I decided to do this. I had this vision after seeing so many people on my timeline with these very sad posts about love, not just the women, but men as well. Men, spewing these things about, they're looking for loyalty and this and that. And I'm like, what does that mean? And then women talking about men opening up their hearts, but not being ready to love them. Stepping in and giving them this whole, introduction of, what love could look like. But then the women are saying that when it's time to really do the dirty work, when it's time to roll your sleeves up and really get in with these women who need healing. And I don't mean Captain Save-A-Ho type thing. I'm not talking about that. We're speaking on the two emotions, love and fear.
Right.
And, you can be a whole person and love yourself, but sometimes there are things that have been lying dormant in you that you didn't even know that you were still grappling with. But when somebody comes in with those gentle gloves and starts to love you, that love is like a tincture. It's like a medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start to cough up things that can be cancerous because this person feels so safe and they've offered you something that feels so safe that you start to cough up the stuff and you got to work through it. But the ladies are saying that when it's time to do the work, that the guys are running.
Have you ever talked to your mom and asked your mom, how did my dad treat you? Like how was
I've
that
had the
relationship
conversation.
between you two?
Yes, I've had the conversation, and it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy. Let me say this. I don't talk to my mother about love and relationship. I'm normally the one giving the advice, but I don't talk to my mother about love and relationships because I don't ever want to have any relationships the way I've witnessed my mother have relationships. So gotcha. I am more, rewiring and unlearning the experiences, that I've had to grow up with. I love my mom. My mom gives me great financial advice. My mom's the best grandmother and businesswoman. But when it comes to romantic relationships, my mother grew up in the 60s. My mother grew up in the 60s where women didn't have rights. It wasn't until 1965 that women didn't need permission from their husbands to open bank accounts.
Right.
My mother grew up as this woman who had a mind of her own, who was trying to fight to be her own person, but she was just looked at as property and an object.
Mm-hmm.
So she's worn an armor all of her life. She also had the mother, who my grandmother's 87. So she had a mother who married because that's just what you did. You married. It wasn't a loving, kind partnership.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dictatorship. And it was abusive, and it was a whole lot of things. So there's a lot of dysfunction, a lot of pathology, a lot of really dysfunctional pathology. And my daughter said to me the other day, "Mom, you are the generation that came to shake it up and to stop the mess."
Right.
And she said, so it's not being received well, with the elders in the family. I mean, I'm 41. So,
babe.
I'm I'm a 90s teen.
Right. Got you.
So it's like me coming to, my daughter said I was the one that came to shake up the mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what made me want to do this, because the conversations about love, to me, when I hear them, I don't hear love in there.
Okay.
I don't hear love. I hear a lot of, people trying to either change others or people trying to possess others. Or, I just hear everything.
Or trying to fit in where they don't belong. Or trying
to fit in where they don't belong.
And it's good to know these things about you as we go forward in this podcast, because we're gonna learn things about each other as we go along with this podcast, as well as giving our information to other people too, and getting other people to think outside the box. So The reason I asked you that because I've asked my mom the same thing. My dad died. My dad transitioned in the 80s. It was 86. Like he died in 86.
Wow.
So mind you, me growing up, I had a visual. I knew who my dad was. You know what I mean? Like I knew who he was. I knew his face. I knew this was my dad because we used to go up, 10th Street. Like once again, we lived in Swan Park, so we used to go to 10th Street uptown all the time.
Yeah.
But I knew who my dad was. Everybody on that block knew who my dad was, right?
But he didn't raise you.
Yeah, he didn't raise me either. So I asked my mom.
Brandon, did you only know him in passing? Did you only know him in passing?
No, I knew him before he passed. No,
I mean in passing as on the street, as waving to your dad, but not in...
No. I didn't have that pleasure because my dad was a dope dealer. I didn't have that pleasure.
Gotcha.
Because he didn't want me around that type of environment. And then if the streets got hot, he definitely didn't want my mom coming down there. They lived on the same block. So when my mom was growing up, he would be like, and like you say, your dad was like predatorial. He used to kind of follow my mom around. Like he wanted to holler at my mom. So my mom didn't want to fuck with him because of what his background was, and she knew he was older. I asked my mom, I said, yo, how did my dad treat you? He was like, well, he was cool. He was real cool. He was laid back, but, don't get him angry because if you got him angry, you'll see his name was Alfred. You'll see another part of Alfred. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, well, on top of that, he had a wife. I didn't know.
Okay. Can I pause you right there? This is crazy. My father had a wife. My mother's name is Diana. My father had a wife. He was married with 2 children. He had a wife named Diana.
Wow.
My mother was 17. My father did not raise me. My mom said he was around me briefly when I was a baby, but my mother got married to another man who I was told was my father when I was only like 8 months old when my mother married another man. But my father too was married. That's crazy that we have that in common. And I was not raised by him. I don't even know him. I've never even seen him. You have pictures of yours. I don't even have pictures of mine.
Right. And see, that's the connection. Like trying to.
Here we go. This is the universe, man. This ain't God good. We never knew these things about one another.
No,
we never knew. This is so. When I say this is organic, y'all, this is so organic. We're not making this up.
Because I can't put that in a rhyme. You know what I'm saying? I can't put what I'm explaining to the folks in a rhyme in 2 minutes, in 5 minutes, because your attention span is not going to really last that long.
Your attention span is not going to last that long.
No.
But this is crazy, Enoch. This is so crazy.
Yeah,
so we both had these street daddies that were married and many years older than our mothers.
Right.
Wow.
And to top it all, here's the kicker. To top it all, after my father passed away or got murdered, and I'll tell you why, murdered, I'm finding out years later, I wanted to know more about my dad. Like I wanted to know more of why I was being the way I was, that how my mom would look at me and like, oh, you remind me of Alfred. Boy, you just a red version of him. Like my dad was dark skinned.
Yeah.
When I saw my dad, when I saw my dad back then, it didn't register. But now when I look at older pictures and when I look at him or think about him, he reminds me of Marvin Gaye. Just this persona. And then when I'm looking at all these photos, I'm like, damn, this dude was dressed to impress. But at any rate, they were living in this particular area. So my dad had a girlfriend, he had a wife, he had another girlfriend, he had children. He had children. Come to find out, the lady that he married started liking women.
Wow.
And he was like, I can't fuck with you. He rolled out, found, got another girlfriend, lived with her. He was like, I can't fuck with you.
Where did your mother play a part in all of this? Because she was the baby, probably. My
mom was, as my aunt tells me now, my mom was a safe haven for my dad from the streets. He'll come to the house. My grandmother, my mom's mom, did not like my dad. trust that.
And she shouldn't have, yeah.
She was old head. She was on, she was a street going person,
Where was your mother's father? Where was your mother's father?
My mother's father, my grandmother left my grandfather because he was being domestic.
That was brave of her.
And
that was brave of your grandmother.
It was, but my grandma had 12 of siblings. And the boys were like, we going to his house. My grandma's name is Rosie Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but they used to call her Doll. Like, Doll, we going to, what's going on? She was like, don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. And my grandma said she whooped my granddad's ass so bad one day. She took my mom, and then they came to D.C. You know what I'm saying? With my other
so your mother grew up without a father, too?
I would say yes and no, because she got the opportunity to go back down south. My mom was doing so terrible here. My mom was like acting up like shit, and my grandma sent her ass back down south.
Right. But he didn't raise her. Sounds like
he didn't raise her. My mother got raised by her grandmother.
Right.
So
there's the pathology, though. But there's the pathology.
Right.
Following. Because your mother didn't just become wild and all of these things just because she said, this is what I'm going to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Father's the identity, the self-esteem. Mother is the sanity for both men and women. And so I struggled with the identity because I don't know anything. My mother doesn't talk about my father. I asked her questions. She answered them, but that was it.
Ooh, right.
So I was abandoned by not one, but two fathers. One whom was my biological, whom I didn't know for a while, and one who I was told was my biological, and then found out overhearing a phone call. And, I have no relationship with the one who conceived me. And then now I have no relationship with the one who raised me.
Wow.
So my struggles, I have a life coach. And what I was telling him was, intellectually and logically, I know better. I can spew, all of the things that I know about. It's not my fault. I am my own person. You know what I mean? But when things arise and, you start to act out of fear and not love and love for self, and things arise, that's when I started to realize that, whoa, wait a minute. I am more, affected and wired by this shit than I realized, because I grew up in Circle Court in D.C. Temple Court, Circle Court. I was taught to suppress. I was taught to armor up. You armor up and you maneuver through this hood and you protect yourself. You stay alert. And even though I'm this spiritual empath who's always been very aware, even very young, I had to be something that I wasn't in order to live, not even live, to survive and to make it.
And that is and I think that's where we become, and that's where we're different at. Like we're connecting in so many other bullet points and dots, and I think that's where it comes to my thought process. Like I was never taught that. I was raised, by my grandma, because my mom was a street fiend, and so then she showed me how to love. Like she showed me, hey, be open with your feelings and just move about. Just move about this world. Like be in the world, but not of the world.
That speaks on your wholeness and your energy. Everybody says this to me who's been around you, and your Leo buddy, my daughter. Shout out to D. Steele. She says that about you all the time. She says, I like being in a room with him. She loves your energy.
Well,
loves
that's
it.
What's up.
You know what I mean? But that speaks to that. That's that grandma, that mature, that matriarchal, you know what I mean? That head of the village type of love. Whereas though, no, I was raised by the child who had to learn how to be on her own. And my mom's way of being was just surviving, just making it, hustling. You know what I mean? And so she taught me that. That's what she had to give. Yeah, right. And that's me.
That's you all the way, because you are a hustler. Like you be moving, like you be moving so much, I don't think you sleep. Like, I watch your Instagram joint, and you be here, you be there, but then I just don't know you from Instagram. You know what I mean? Like,
you don't just know, right?
I just didn't meet you last week, and we decided to put this damn podcast together. No, like, I've seen you in the city, and I've seen you moving and grooving. I'm like, who's that little shorty right there? You know what I mean? It's just like, you're moving and grooving in the city, so it's you have a mind frame that it is a hustle mind frame, a focused mind frame, and I need to get this shit done today mind frame. I'm patient, but I need to get this shit done. While I'm being patient, I'm not going to wait for this. I'm going to be patient for it, but I ain't going to wait for it because I need to get this part of it done. And that's the spirit. I love that spirit about you, because when I see you still always have this, I got somewhere else to be. I know I got to do this brunch business thing, but damn, I'm thinking about doing something else right now. But I'm going to focus on this brunch business or interviewing this guest. But while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about the next thing I need to be doing right after this shit. And I can
but the crazy thing is, the crazy thing about me, solitude is I protect it. Solitude is necessary for me, though. Solitude, but the problem is I appear that way to others. Like, and other people have said that, the same thing you said. Like, I'm always moving, but I have to, because I am a Cancer, a moon child, a crab, and I value solitude and my hermitage. I'm a hermit. I will go in and I won't come out for days. But the only thing that makes me come out is that I am a hustler. I'm a mom. I gotta live. I gotta eat. Unlike you, I like fashion, and my kids do too. You know what I mean? I eat organic, and it's not cheap, but and so I gotta get out and make money, and in order to live, and to exist the way I want to exist, in this temporary life. But it's a lot for me, because it's not intrinsically me to just be out. Like, I get out because it's more like business and networking, and then I go back in. And then I totally go back in,
Right. Yeah, and if y'all ever see this lady, you would think, right, you know what I'm saying? Because your voice is so, like, your energy is powerful enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't think that people can run over this lady, because it's not gonna happen. I don't care how short she is.
Please don't test the gangster.
That shit is not happening.
It's happened to those who don't get it. It's happened. Please don't test the gangster.
Hey,
I grew up speaking properly. I enunciate and pronunciate because my mama did. Please understand.
Oh my God!
Please
don't commit a spiritual suicide. Stepping up to her, thinking you about to get over this shit. Nah,
I'm grown up, but I still have work to do, Enoch. And those who have felt my wrath understand. And then I regret it after that whole, after I go Tasmanian devil, But the thing about my personality is I always walk in with a positive intention. I always walk in ready to serve and give, and to, I'm always of service, because that's who I am. And I know that about myself. I know why I'm here, and I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just now learning my direction and my path. Right. You know what I mean? And so I know while I'm here. I know. Look, I had the come to Jesus moment, but I was just like, God, what do you want? What do you want from me? You know what I mean? And I got the answers. So, but I'm still a work in progress, I'm still learning, and I'm still growing, and I'm still human. And so I've had those. Test me. And I failed some of those tests. And then some tests I've, passed with flying colors, where I was able to say, you know what, love, this is more about you, and it's not about me. So I know it's never about me. It's never.
You gave yourself the Monique moment. You started talking to yourself, hey, love.
No, I said it out loud to them.
Oh, you said it out loud? Okay.
I said it out loud. I said, love, I know this is more about you than me. You don't know that, but I do. I'm going to exit and I'm going to, do it gracefully.
Love. So, do you struggle with it?
I do.
Let me answer that
in all aspects.
All right, I do struggle with it, right? Because we're all human. We do have our ups, we do have our downs, we do have our midpoints. I do struggle with it based on the chemical chemistry that maybe my mom and my dad had.
Yes.
So that chemical chemistry may be imbalanced at times. It may be balanced. It may be like, I don't feel like messing with nobody today. So I'm gonna be a cocoon, and I'm not gonna answer the phone. I'm not gonna answer the text. I'll call that person back when I want to call them back, not today. And then there's other days that you have that equal balance. You're like, yo, I feel good. Like, I want to spread love this way. It's not a sexual intention. It's not. It's more so like, hey, what's up? You good? No matter who I'm talking to. And now this day,
do you find that to be an unbalanced though, Enoch? Because that sounds very balanced to me. You got to have both.
You do, and I think with me, it is a turn right now in the age that I'm at. I think right now it's being more transparent, but not but not too transparent that you feel like every time you see me, it's going to be one of those moments.
Gotcha.
I want you to be at ease when you see me, because I don't want you to feel like it's going to be one of those love moments right now that that I'm gonna be able to tell Enoch all my business. No, it's not going to be that moment. I don't always have, because you're not
always ready for that. You're not always in the place for that. Can I say that and I'm learning that, so I like to sit with men. I like to convene with men. I like to have conversations with men, and I listen. I listen because, I feel like there's so many men telling other men about women, but they didn't really sit and listen to what women of all ages, all shapes, all sizes, you didn't listen to them.
Right.
I like to sit and just convene. I like to just be there and listen and take you in and hear what you have to say and how you feel. And so what I'm realizing is that men are not realizing. I've lived it, seen it, heard it, men are men. You don't change, you grow tired. And, women, we change all of the time. But that's our natural roles in how we were created. We carry the babies. We sacrifice our bodies and everything else to give life, and so we have to evolve constantly. We have to, we have to go with the changes. We have to be able to, not go with the flow like we were talking about earlier, but we are the art of war. We got to be able to move properly in order to sustain these lives that we're carrying and putting out,
Right.
And so men, I said to a guy recently, I said, men are really the pickers. You pick and you choose. They're like, no, women know what you want. And I'm like, yeah, we know what we want, but we can't force your hand to be ready. We can show you, we can peacock, and then we can show you that we're ready and that we want you. But if you're not ready and if you don't pick us, it's not going to work.
I know you found something that kind of relates to what you just said. So if you want to talk about that, we can, or we can just continue on this conversation.
We can definitely get into that. But I definitely want to expound on what you were saying, because it's so relevant and it's so true of how I've experienced guys. And like what you're saying, some days, you don't want to hear all of that stuff.
Right.
So it's like I'm learning that. I'm not just learning men. What I'm learning is
you're learning yourself.
I'm learning myself. And how to be opposite dudes.
Right. Because guys have to learn themselves to be opposite of y'all.
Women.
Because we're not saying, look, I'm not saying, guys, be all out. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
be all feminine out. I'm not saying that energy-wise. I'm not saying that because that's not going to correlate to what your relationship is.
Right.
What I'm saying is basically be the reverse of that, because sometimes guys aren't transparent because we don't have that opportunity to be transparent from who we with. Sometimes it's just like, I can't tell you how I feel. I got to figure out wording in my head first to see what words are not buzzwords that's going to tick you off and shit. And I got to
I'm currently having that issue. Exactly what you just said. Right. But this person communicates well enough where he said, I hear you, and sometimes I don't respond because I got to go back and think about it, and you know what I mean? And then I respond. You know, he's like, you're a better communicator than I am. You're very open and transparent and expressive, whereas though I'm not. And so,
sometimes that scares dudes away, too. Scares dudes away who are not ready for that.
No, it has scared dudes away. It didn't scare him away, though, because he is a communicator. But it was me, my impatience, that was just like, what? What does that mean? What are you saying? You know what I mean? And it's like, he's like, I don't mean it that way. I don't have the words. He's like, you have all the words. You know how to express it. You know, like, I know euphemisms and synonyms and
right, all that shit. Right.
I know what not to say to him. You know what I mean? And I know when to say shit because I want to be an ass. But I also know what to remove from the table because I know how to, and I don't want to say ego, because even though there are times he acts out of ego, you know, it's not always. But I know how to fall back and say, I'm not going to feed the ego. But what I am going to do is be open without crushing the pride and the thing and meet him where he is. You know what I mean?
Right. Don't crush the guy's ego. That should be the worst thing ever.
Right. So I've learned that through experience. I had to learn. I had to go through the mud. I've learned because I come from a mama that will crush you, that will kill you, will set you on fire with intelligence and words.
Was she your height? Is your mama your height?
My mother is a couple of inches taller than me.
See, that's what I'm talking about. See, this is, y'all whip somebody's ass. Do not get this young lady stirred up. She might whip your ass. Just to let you know.
But no, I've been there. I've been guilty of, you know, using my intellect and my knowledge of things wrongly. I've wronged people with that, and I've paid for that, and I've, you know, prayed about it and asked for forgiveness because, you know, I knew better, but I wasn't acting out of my best self. And I've done that, and I've crushed people. And, you know, only a couple have admitted it, you know, but I know, and I feel good about it afterwards. And I don't think anybody who does shitty things to people ever feel good about it. Hurt people, you know. Right. And so I've been guilty of that. You know, like you were segueing into the Instagram post that I shared with you, where the gentleman was saying, I'll be with you 6 years. And, I mean, excuse the language, and he said, I'll let you suck my dick and inspire me and push me to my better self. But if the love of my life comes along, I'm going to leave you for them. That's some crazy shit to me. But it's real. Shit. But it's real. And I've witnessed this. It's real, and I've witnessed it.
Right. Damn.
I've witnessed it. Erykah Badu said something years ago. Let me just say this. She said something years ago. She said her and Jay Electronica broke up because Erykah Badu is a Pisces, by the way, a water sign like me. And she said Jay Electronica and I broke up because, we didn't work out because he likes to keep me in the box, and he likes to sit outside of the box and just watch me. I like for us to be in the box together.
Right.
And she said, but he doesn't want to be in the box all of the time. And that analogy stuck with me so much because that is me. And I've been in those relationships where I'm like, why don't you want to be in the box with me today? I fucking need you here in the box.
And you know what the crazy shit is? Yo, I need a break. Because your energy is like, I need a break from the box. So I'm going to sit outside the box so I can get myself together. So then I can come back in the box and deal with what we dealing with. And here's the crazy shit.
Enoch, I know that about me. Enoch, I'm learning. I'm slowly. I knew it about me, but I had to accept that about me. I'm intense as fuck. I'm intense as fuck. Because of my calling in this world, I'm a healer.
Right.
I want to mother and heal everybody. And even when I'm sucking dick, I'm like, so how was your day? How do you feel? Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. You can't come yet. Okay, you know what I mean? I'm like, wait a fucking minute. Like, how did your mom treat you? Niggas don't want to hear that. Why they getting good ass head?
And here's the shit though. Here's the kicker. Has Erykah Badu ever sat outside the box and let the Jay sit in the box?
That's a good fucking question. And I wish I could call her and ask that question. And you know what? But forget about that. I'm here. Enoch.
Okay.
I have never sat outside the box, Enoch.
See? Never. See, that's the problem.
I have been the dude in a 6-year relationship waiting for the love of my life. I can say that. I've been him.
Okay.
I've been him. I'm going to admit it. I'm making a confession here. Because I was a mom, I got married. I got married. And because, loving the person first, choosing to love them first and then getting into something didn't work for me. And it didn't work for me because now here in this place, I know that I didn't go about it properly. But I chose the person who loves me more. I chose the person who loved me more. And I'm going to say now, today, when you know better and you still act on it and you know that you're doing wrong, that's a fucking sin. And you're doing yourself, the person, and everything else a disservice because you're vibrating low. You're not acting out of your best self. And I went into this relationship knowing everything in me saying that this is probably not what you should do. You know what I mean? This person proposed to me, married me, moved me, and my child overseas, and everything else. And, I thought, okay, you're helping him to his healing place. You're doing this, you're doing that. But really, I wasn't, because I wasn't vibrating higher. I wasn't giving him the best of me because I really wasn't happy.
What would be the last words for us to give to our listeners that they can take away from today?
Definitely to take from this, to find the bits and pieces of the things that we shared about ourselves and our experiences, and find you. Find you. People always think that they're alone in their stuff. Unfortunately, Enoch, you're not an oddball, and unfortunately, people, you're not alone. So find the bits and pieces for you, because all of this is about healing, not just for other people, but for me. I know for me, this is about constant evolution, constant healing. I have many, many years of shit to heal. I was raised by human beings.
Right. We don't need both. Absolutely. Like, we're barking into our minds of how we think and how this podcast will
and what we've gone through. What we've gone through.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And we're being honest and transparent to ourselves, to each other, and to you, because we want you to look at us more than just Enoch Seventh Prophet. You know what I mean? I want you to look at me more
and
than
Anita the brunch bitches.
Right. I don't want you to just, get past that word, the brunch bitches, because you're going to hear that a lot sometimes on this podcast, because, that is the name of their, that show. Yeah. So, if people can get past certain words.
I'm deeper, though. But people, they hang on to things. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get past certain words, and that's what, if you are healthy, you can navigate past the words that we're saying to get to the message. If you are unhealthy, you're going to look at these words and and look at them negatively. And we're not trying to give off that negative vibe to anybody. We want to help those who are unhealthy to navigate through the words that we're saying to see the message.